At the beginning of a new year, we look at all the things we want to start doing. This year, habits we want to build, practices we wish to begin, routines we want to develop, and this is great. A new year is a chance for a new you, a new things that you can begin doing. But Stoic philosophy is also a philosophy of elimination. Seneca started each year by plunging into the freezing Tiber River. This was a way of washing himself clean. He thought it was a metaphorical cleansing, and Marcus Aurelius said the essential question in all things, but especially at the end of the year, was to ask yourself, is what I'm doing essential? He says because so much of what we do is inessential, or worse, it's destructive and harmful. And so here, looking at a new year, let's ask ourselves, what habits, what practices, and what routines are we going to let expire at the end of 2024? And with their elimination, who will we allow ourselves to become in 2025? Because that's what Stoic philosophy is, looking at ourselves in the mirror and saying, which parts of myself should I keep, should I continue to develop, and which parts of myself do I need to stop? And so here, at the end of a new year, let's think about what habits and practices and routines we're going to stop, we're going to eliminate, so there can be a better and new you in getting up early. 2025, nobody likes getting up early, not even Marcus Aurelius in Meditations talks about trying to get up early, and he has this fantastic conversation with himself. He goes, but it's warmer under the covers. And he says, is that what you were put here to do, to huddle under the blankets and be warm? He says, we're all put here for a purpose. We have nature, we have a duty, and we have to go, and we have to do that. And the morning is the best time to do stuff, to get stuff done. So that's why the stocks tried to get up early. I say tried because they didn't always do it, and it wasn't always easy, and they didn't. I always liked it. They tried to do it anyway. Don't complain. Marcus Aurelius had a lot to complain about. A lot goes wrong. He doesn't meet with the good fortune that he deserved. He's betrayed, he's misled, people lie to him, people try to take things from him. He has a job that he doesn't even want. And yet nowhere in Meditations what he thinks is his private diary that no one is going to read. We never once see him complain about any of this. He doesn't complain about being unappreciated. He doesn't complain about being abused. He doesn't complain about being put upon. He doesn't complain about the stress. He doesn't do any of it, because, as he says in meditation, we should never be overheard complaining, not even to have no opinion ourselves. People don't seem to understand this one important thing. It's that you have a superpower. You have the power. Marcel says to have no opinion. He says to remember events. Things are not asking to be judged by. You don't have to have an opinion about this. He says you can just see it as it is. You can think nothing of it. You don't have to label it. You don't have to put it in categories. You don't have to say it's fair or unfair, positive or negative, smart or dumb. Just accept it as it is. The Stoics try to see the world as an objective. Try not to insert opinions or judgments on top of things, because this is the path to peace. It's the path to wisdom. And of course, being agnostic in this way allows you to get to work doing what you need to do, rather than wasting your time labeling, judging, and having opinions about stuff that is not up to. Focus on what you don't know. You can't learn that which you think you already know. That's Epicus. He was sent the best and the brightest students from all over the Roman Empire, but he understood that conceit was the enemy. The problem with being a know-all is, it true, it's impossible for you to know anything more if you come to learning from a place of humility. If you come to it like Socrates did, the great hero of the Stoic, that you know what you don't know, or that you understand that you know very little, then it becomes impossible for you to learn so much more. It's impossible to learn that which you think you already know. Focus on what you don't know. Focus on how much there is left to learn. Always stay a student. That's how you get better, smarter, and music. Be in command of yourself. Wiser, the essence of Stoic philosophy is, being in command of yourself says no. One is fit to rule who is not first master of themselves, and the reason we're not masters of ourselves, we give that power over to someone or something else, drugs, alcohol. Codependency, the Stoics, it was about being in control of yourself, not your urges, not your desires. Seneca himself defines poverty as not having too little but wanting more. The reason we battle our addictions, the reason we try to get clean, the reason we practice discipline so we can be fit to be good parents, to be leaders, to be bosses. If we're not in command of ourselves, if something or someone, some urge or some substance, if that's really what's ruling our life, that is not a good place to. Music, stop doing less than your best. You have to stop doing less than your best. There's this great story about Jimmy Carter is being interviewed. He wants to get this job when he's a naval officer, and after Carter has talked about how he did in school, the grades he got, the tests he passed, the things he learned, the interviewer looked at him and goes, "But did you always do your best?" And Carter has to answer him honestly, and he goes, "No, I guess I didn't always do my best." And the man looks at him and he says, "Why not?" and gets up and leaves the room. And that question haunts Carter for the rest of his life. Why didn't he always do his best? And as you look back on your own life last year and the years before, why didn't you always give your best? Why are you doing things that you don't think deserve your best? This year we have to do our best at whatever we're doing. We have to give everything that we have. That is one of the things that we control, right? We don't control whether we succeed, we don't control whether we win, we don't control whether we get recognized for what we do, but we do control whether we do our best, whether we give everything we have. And as the great Steve Prefontaine quote goes, giving less than your best is to cheat the gift, not just the gift of your talents, I would say, but also the gift of the time in front of you, the life you've been. Use your creativity. Looked like it was a bad use of your creativity is the time you're spending imagining what might happen to the conversations you're making up in your head, the things that you think people are thinking about you. This is a bad way to deploy your cray. You're using it to make yourself miserable. You're imagining these terrible scenarios. Notice you're never imagining things going well, people liking you. You're putting your imagination to work on your anxiety, on your self-consciousness, on your doubt. And it's just not a good use of it. The story would say our mind is that incredibly powerful thing. How are you going to deploy it? How are you going to use it? Are you going to use it to torture yourself, or you're going to use it to move yourself forward, to solve problems or create them? Stop holding on to stuff. Music, you have to quit holding on to stuff. I don't mean physical possessions, although you should stop hanging on to those too. The Stoics would say that you have to let go, right? It already happened. It's done. Grudges aren't helping you. Regrets aren't helping you. There's a great New Year's tradition where people would write down all the things that they're hanging on to, that they regret, that they're mad about, and then on New Year's they would light it on fire and they'd watch sort of dissolve into smoke. The Stoics would say that holding on to things, regretting things, hanging on to grudges or pain, like it's not serving you, it's not serving the world, and it's not going to make you who you're capable of being this year. So let's start the new year by letting go of things we have to quit holding on to. Music, no goals. Things, I don't have goals. I have 0 goals. I'm not trying to sell a certain number of copies. I'm not trying to write a certain number of books. I'm not trying to beat anyone. I'm not trying to be the best at anything. Don't care about bestseller list. I'm trying to do the thing I like doing. Is the thing I wake up every day. I try my best. I put in my hours. I focus on what I control. I control what I put in. I control the effort that I put in. I control the energy that I direct at the brain, the power that I put into it. Everything else is not really up to me, so I leave that where it is my goals are to be the best that I'm capable of being, to realize my potential. That's what I wake up and do. And to focus on specific metrics or specific goals or specific accomplishments to me are artificially delimiting. It is like putting a ceiling on it. My job is to do my best to do the thing. That's what I want to keep doing. To do the thing, to do the writing, to do the work. Let the chips fall where they may. I don't need goals. I don't need that as my motivation, so that's not what I focus. Don't reply. Music. RIT Suddy said this to me once. He said, you don't owe anyone a response, and his point was that, just 'cause an unsolicited email comes in doesn't mean you have to reply to that person. There was a time early in my life when I believed in inbox zero, and that plan has had to be abandoned as I've gotten older and more successful, because I value other things, of course. Again, I want to reply, and there are people I do get back quickly to, but I've had to realize that the preconceived notion I have of what is caught up is preventing me from getting caught up on what's truly important. Eisenhower has that decision matrix about what's urgent and what's important, and sometimes the things that come in the inbound inquiries, they feel important, but they're just urgent, and as you're tackling them, what you're ignoring is what's actually important, but not necessarily. Look for the third thing. Urgent, don't look for the third thing. This year in Meditations, Marcus Aurelius says, okay, you did something good, someone benefited from it, right? That's one. And two, the third thing he said, ask to be recognized for it, asking to be thanked for it, asking to be paid in return for it. He says, no, you have to stop looking for the third thing, right? Again, what do we control? Whether we what? We don't control, we control what we do. We don't control whether people appreciate it. We don't control whether people understand it. We don't control whether it's liked in its own time. We only control what we do. If you want to have more resources, more happiness this year, one of the things you can do is stop looking for credit, attention, recognition, compensation in return, and focus instead on, did you do your best? Did you do a really good job? Did you give everything that you had to do? You think you made a positive contribution to the world, to humanity, to the common good? If so, then you have been paid back. You have been recognized. You did what your nature demanded. The Stoics would say you did your job, and that's who you spend time with. Enough. Show me who you spend time with, and I will show you who you are. The great expression, it's this idea that we become like the people we spend the most time with, but I think it's true not just for people but for information. What does your information diet look like? Who are you spending time with? Who are you giving access to your brain in Meditations? Mark C. says our soul is dyed by the color of our thoughts. We're colored, we're dyed by the inputs, by the things that we allow access to. So if you're spending all your time on social media, if you're following nothing but breaking political news and opinion, if you're dwelling on things that are inconsequential or superficial or materialistic, you're going to become dyed and changed by that. But if you spend time with the wisest and smartest people who ever lived, if you look backward to history, you surround yourself with great books and great ideas and great people, you can become like that. The marathon. 2. When people find out that you're a runner, they always ask, are you training for marathon? And the answer is no, I'm training for this right running every the day. That's the marathon, right running when you don't want to run, when you're tired of running, when it's cold, running when it's hot, doing it, pushing yourself. That's the marathon. Seneca says we treat the body rigorously so that it's not disobedient to the mind. We're training ourselves, we're training our muscles. We're also building the muscle that makes us do stuff day to day, that runs a marathon of life. We're developing the ability to push ourselves, to demand stuff from ourselves, and that's the ultimate race. That's the competition, right? You're competing with yourself. You're competing with the desire to not do it. If you're competing with anyone, you're competing against all the people that are doing nothing, that is staying On the couch, Epictetus' great line was, "Run races where winning is up to you, the race against yourself, the race against the desire to not do it, the race against the impulse to stay on the couch. That's where we're challenging ourselves, that's where we're pushing ourselves, that's the race that you're doing every single don't delay day. All fools in life have one thing in common, according to the Stoic. Seneca says what they all have in common is that they're always getting ready to start. They are delaying living because they think they have the future, they think they have forever. They say, I'm not ready, or they say, I'm going to do it after I'm going to do it once this thing happens. When conditions are more favorable, they never say to themselves, I'm never going to do it. They say, I'm going to do it later, but no one knows what the future holds. No one knows how much time we have left. Life is happening right now, this second. The time that ticks by, the stock say belongs to death. It's dead. It can never be recovered. So don't be a fool. Don't delay. You could be good today. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, but instead you choose music. New year, new you challenge. Tomorrow here we are, staring down the barrel of the new year. It would have been better to make changes, make improvements in yourself 10 years ago, a year ago, 10 minutes ago. But as they say, the second best time to do it is now. I try to kick every year off with some challenges that help me get towards where I want to go. That's actually what we built, the daily stock New Year, New You challenge. It's 3 weeks of Stoic-inspired challenges, one after another, that gets you out of your comfort zone, pushes you to be what you're capable of being. And the powerful thing is that you're doing it as part of a community of other Stoics who are trying to get better. It'll be an email every single day from me, videos, resources, and a prompt, a important Stoic-inspired challenge or exercise, almost a book's worth of content. There's going to be weekly Zoom calls with me and other Stoics and a bunch of other awesome stuff. Stop putting it off. Come join us. Come join the Stoic story.